Somewhere close to you, maybe 2 streets over, there's a flower bed that never stops blooming. Color from May to frost, and yet you never catch the owner out there hunched over with a pair of snips, picking off dead flowers in the July heat. That gardener isn't working harder than you. They're not out at dawn with a bucket and pruners. They just planted smarter. They chose flowers that clean up after themselves, and once you know which ones those are, gardening changes for good. I'm John Sam, and this is Seniors Gardening Advice, the channel for practical, low-effort, high-reward gardening for folks who love a beautiful flower bed but don't love aching backs and sore knees. If that's you, hit subscribe, because today we're covering 10 perennials that will bloom for months without a single snip of the pruners. Plant these, and you can put the deadheading kit away for good. Let's get into it. Plant 1. Catmint. If I could only recommend one perennial to a beginning gardener, it would be this one. Catmint, botanically Nepeta, is hardy in USDA zones 3 through 8, which covers nearly the entire country. The variety you'll see most often is Walker's Low, a past perennial plant of the year, but there's a whole family worth knowing. 6 Hills giant grows taller and broader, up to 3 feet, and makes a wonderful informal hedge or backdrop. Cat's Meow stays dense and refined without flopping, even in strong wind. And if space is tight, Kitten Around and Junior Walker stay compact enough for containers or the front of a small border. Whichever you choose, Catmint forms a soft, billowing mound of silvery green foliage that releases a spicy, minty scent when brushed, and starting in late spring, it covers itself in slender lavender blue spikes that keep coming, wave after wave, for weeks on end. Give it full sun and well-drained soil and you're basically done. Catmint shrugs off poor soil and drought. Deer and rabbits leave it alone thanks to that aromatic foliage, and bees, butterflies, and even hummingbirds swarm it on a warm afternoon. If you want a small bonus, shear the whole plant back by half after the first flush fades in early July, and it rewards you with an even heavier second round. But that's optional. Ignored completely, Catmint still colors your garden deep into the season. 2 minutes with hedge trimmers, standing up, no bending. It pairs beautifully underplanted beneath roses, since the foliage hides bare rose stems while the colors complement each other. Watch only for occasional powdery mildew in a wet, humid summer, which is rarely serious. Plant it along a walkway or spilling over a low wall, divide it every 3 or 4 years in spring or fall, and share the extras with your neighbors. Plant 2. Russian Sage. Where Catmint stays low, this one brings height and drama. Russian sage, Perovskia atriplycifolia, is hardy in zones 4 through 9 and sends up airy 4-foot spires of tiny lavender-purple flowers on silvery white stems, giving the whole plant the look of a purple mist hovering over the border. If you have a smaller space, look for the compact variety Little Spire, which tops out around 2 feet, or Denim and Lace, a newer selection with stronger stems that resist flopping. Russian sage typically starts flowering in midsummer, exactly when other perennials are wilting from the heat, and carries on into fall. The flowers are so small and so numerous that deadheading isn't even practical, and thankfully it isn't necessary. Even after the true flowers fade, the silvery calyxes that held them keep the plant looking dusty purple for weeks longer. Full sun is non-negotiable here. In shade it flops and blooms poorly. Give it lean, dry soil, and once established you can nearly forget it exists except to admire it. Deer and rabbits skip the sage-scented foliage, and rabbits generally avoid it too. The one thing it wants is a hard cutback to 6 or 8 inches in late winter, once a year, and that's the entire maintenance program. The most common way to lose this plant is overwatering or heavy clay soil that stays wet in winter, so if drainage is a concern, plant it on a slight mound. Mass 3 or 5 together for a real drift of color, or pair it with Black-Eyed Susan and Coneflower for a classic silver and gold combination. Plant 3. Blanket Flower. Time to warm up the palette. Gaillardia, hardy in zones 3 through 10, produces daisy-shaped blooms in blazing red, orange, and gold, often banded together on a single flower. Arizona Sun is a popular compact variety that stays under a foot tall and holds up especially well in hot climates, while the Mesa series offers larger, longer-lasting flowers on a slightly bigger plant. Blanket flower is one of the longest-blooming perennials there is, often starting in late spring and running clear to frost. 5 months of color from one plant, achieved by constantly pushing new buds faster than the old ones can fade. This is a plant for tough spots, sandy soil. Gravel, that miserable strip between sidewalk and street. What it can't tolerate is rich, wet ground, so lean and mean is the recipe, and good drainage matters more than fertility. When blooms do eventually fade, they leave round, fuzzy seed heads that goldfinches love to work over on a September morning, which only happens if you leave them alone. One honest note: blanket flowers tend to be short-lived, often 3 or 4 years, sometimes succumbing to crown rot in soggy winters, but they self-sow gently, so new seedlings usually keep the patch going without you buying replacements. It's also an excellent, long-lasting cut flower if you want a few stems for the kitchen table. Plant 4, Daylily. This one seems like an odd fit at first, since each individual daylily flower lasts exactly 1 day. The name hemerocallis literally means beauty for a day, and the plant is hardy in zones 3 through 9. But a mature clump sends up dozens of stems, each carrying a dozen or more buds that open in sequence, day after day, for weeks. When each flower finishes, it wilts and drops on its own, so tomorrow's blooms always cover today's departures. Daylilies come in nearly every color but true blue, in heights from 1 to 4 feet, with early, mid-season, and late varieties, so planting a mix stretches the season across 3 months or more. Look for rebloomers like Stella d'Oro or Happy Returns, which flower heavily, pause, and then often repeat right up to frost, essentially doubling your bloom season from one clump. Full sun brings the most flowers, though they'll tolerate light shade, and they shrug off clay, drought, slopes, and neglect. The one real threat is deer, who treat the buds like candy, so if deer pressure is heavy where you garden, protect the buds with repellent early in the season or consider skipping this one. Watch also for daylily rust in warmer, humid regions, which shows up as orange streaks on the leaves. Removing and discarding affected foliage in fall usually keeps it in check. Divide crowded clumps every 3 to 5 years, in spring or after flowering, and you'll have extra plants to fill in elsewhere for free. Plant 5, Gaura. This flower brings something none of the others do: movement. Gaura, sometimes labeled Oenothera lindhameri and nicknamed whirling butterflies, is hardy in zones 5 through 9, and sends up long, wiry, waist-high stems dotted with small white or pink 4-petaled blooms that flutter in the slightest breeze, like a swarm of butterflies hovering in place. Whirling butterflies is the classic white-flowered variety, while siskiyou pink offers rosy pink blooms on slightly more compact plants. It's a Texas and Louisiana native, so heat, humidity, drought, and poor sandy soil don't bother it at all. It blooms from early summer through fall, continuously adding new buds to the tips of its ever-lengthening stems, and deadheading isn't sensible given how scattered those flowers are along the stem, so nobody bothers. It wants full sun, though a little afternoon shade helps in the hottest climates. Its one demand is drainage. It grows a deep taproot that resents both soggy winter soil and being transplanted, so choose its spot carefully the first time since it doesn't move well once established. By late summer, the stems can get long and tangled, which some gardeners love for the wild, meadowy look. If you'd rather keep it tidy, shear it back by half in midsummer and it regrows and reblooms within weeks, but that's a style choice, not a requirement. It's a fantastic front-of-border filler between bolder, stiffer plants like coneflower and Russian sage, since its airy texture softens everything around it. Plant 6, Black-Eyed Susan. Few flowers feel as familiar and cheerful as Rudbeckia, hardy in zones 3 through 9, with its golden daisies and dark chocolate-brown centers. It blooms from midsummer well into fall, and while light deadheading can squeeze out a bit more at the margins, This plant flowers so generously on its own that the extra labor buys you very little. The popular variety Goldsturm is famous for smothering itself in bloom with zero help, and Indian Summer offers larger, 6-inch flowers on a slightly taller plant if you want more drama. Leave it standing after frost, and you get a second season of value. The dark central cones turn nearly black and stand through winter as both garden sculpture and a bird feeder that never needs refilling, drawing goldfinches through the coldest months. Black-eyed Susans want full sun but tolerate part shade, and they're forgiving about soil as long as water doesn't pool. They spread into generous clumps and self-sow, gradually filling in a bed in that relaxed, established look, though in very rich soil they can spread more assertively than some gardeners expect, so divide every few years if you want to keep them in check. Watch for septoria leaf spot in humid climates, which causes dark spots on lower leaves late in the season. Good. Air circulation between plants mostly prevents it. They're also excellent cut flowers, so bring a few indoors all summer. The plant won't miss them. Plant 7 Coreopsis. Also known as tickseed, this compact perennial, hardy in zones 4 through 9, forms an airy, ferny mound topped from early summer through late summer with cheerful buttery yellow daisy flowers. The variety Moonbeam, with soft pale yellow blooms, won perennial plant of the year, and remains one of the most planted low-maintenance perennials in the country, while Zagreb offers a brighter, more golden yellow flower on a slightly more vigorous plant. It produces so many small flowers in such steady succession that it keeps blooming without deadheading, though a light shearing after the first flush, in early to midsummer, does encourage an even fuller rebloom into fall. It thrives in average to poor, sandy or rocky soil and full sun, and once established it shrugs off heat, humidity and drought, making it one of the most reliable plants for a hot, exposed spot. Deer generally leave it alone. Give it good drainage above all else. Wet winter soil is the one thing that will take this plant down, and it's also more short-lived in heavy clay than in a lean, gritty soil. Plant it at the front of a border or in a rock garden, where its fine texture contrasts nicely with the bolder leaves of coneflower or daylily, and divide the clump every 2 or 3 years to keep it vigorous, since the center can thin out over time. Plant 8 Yarrow. Yarrow, botanically Achillea millefolium, gives you flat-topped clusters of tiny flowers held above soft, feathery, fern-like foliage, in colors ranging from classic white and yellow to rose, salmon and terracotta in newer varieties like Cerise Queen and the Summer Pastels mix. Coronation Gold is a taller, sturdier selection with rich golden yellow flower heads if you want more height at the back of a border. It blooms from early summer clear through fall in USDA zones 3 through 9, and it's about as close to indestructible as a perennial gets. Yarrow actually performs best in poor, lean soil with sharp drainage. Rich, fertile soil makes it floppy and encourages it to spread faster than you might like. Full sun and a spot that isn't waterlogged is really the whole wish list. It's remarkably drought-tolerant once established, thanks to a deep root system, and deer tend to avoid it, while bees, butterflies, and beneficial insects like ladybugs and lacewings are drawn to it all season. If the flowers start to fade and look tired midsummer, a quick shear will bring on a fresh round of blooms, but plenty of gardeners never bother and still get months of color. Divide clumps every few years, since yarrow spreads by rhizomes and can get congested, or even a bit weedy if left too long unchecked. It also makes a long-lasting cut and dried flower, holding its color well after air drying. Plant 9 Sedum. Specifically the variety Autumn Joy. This one is proof that a plant doesn't need to be pretty every month to earn its place, and it's reliably hardy in zones 3 through 9. Autumn Joy stonecrop spends spring and summer as a tidy mound of thick, succulent gray-green foliage, quietly unbothered by heat or drought, before broad, flattened flower heads appear in late summer, opening pale pink and gradually deepening to rose, then copper, then rust as fall settles in. A related variety, Autumn Fire, offers a similar color progression with slightly stronger stems that resist flopping in rich soil. Deadheading isn't necessary at any point in that process. The plant looks intentional at every stage, and left standing through winter, those dried, coppery flower heads become one of the best pieces of winter garden structure you can plant, especially dusted with frost or snow, while offering seed for birds along the way. It wants full sun and well-drained soil of average to poor fertility, and it's exceptionally drought-tolerant thanks to those water-storing leaves, which also make it nearly immune to rabbit damage. Deer generally pass it by too. The only real care it wants is a pinchback of the new growth in late spring, sometimes called the Chelsea chop, if you'd like a more compact, upright habit instead of the plant flopping open in the middle, plus a cleanup of the old stems in spring once new growth appears at the base. Plant 10. Coneflower. We close with royalty. Purple coneflower, Echinacea, hardy in zones 3 through 9, is a North American prairie native that has become one of the most beloved perennials anywhere, with big daisy-form blooms and a prominent spiny center held on sturdy stems from midsummer into fall. The classic color is that familiar rosy purple-pink, seen in the widely available Magnus variety, though breeders have added white, yellow, orange, and hot pink to the lineup, including the compact, heavy-blooming powwow wild berry. One piece of hard-won advice: the older, simpler varieties closest to the wild species tend to be the toughest and longest-lived, so when in doubt, choose the sturdy classics over the fanciest hybrids, which can be short-lived, especially in heavier or wetter soil. Coneflowers are drought-tolerant, heat-proof, and largely pest-free as long as the soil drains, and they ask only for full sun and room to spread. Pollinators, including native bees and a wide range of butterfly species, mob the blooms all summer. Snipping spent flowers can squeeze out a bit of extra bloom, but leave the seed heads in place instead, and you set up one of the garden's best autumn and winter shows. Those dark, bristly cones stand through wind and snow, drawing goldfinches, chickadees, and juncos all winter, while modest self-sowing hands you free seedlings to transplant or share. The one disease worth watching for is aster yellows, a bacteria-like infection spread by leafhoppers that distorts the blooms. If you see a plant with green, deformed flowers, remove it promptly so it doesn't spread to its neighbors. Picture all 10 working together. Russian sage rising silver and purple at the back, black-eyed Susans and coneflowers shoulder to shoulder in front of it, Gaura weaving its dancing white wands through the middle, Sedum's rosy heads deepening as fall arrives, Yarrow and Coreopsis filling in with yellow and white, Catmint spilling its blue haze along the front edge, blanket flower firing off red and orange, and Daylilies anchoring the corners with a fresh trumpet every morning. That border blooms from May to frost, feeds pollinators all summer and birds all winter, and asks for about one afternoon of cleanup a year. Gardening in our later years should be about beauty and satisfaction, not an endless chore list, and these 10 perennials make that kind of garden possible. Share this with a friend who loves flowers but not the fuss. Drop your own favorite low-maintenance perennial in the comments, and subscribe so the next video finds you. From my garden to yours, this has been John Sam with Senior's Gardening Advice. Keep it simple, keep it blooming, and be kind to your knees.